Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam is reported to have said, every prophet has warned his people about Dajjal. And the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam warned his people about Dajjal. Now listen carefully. But I am going to tell you something that no one ever said before me. No one ever said this before me. This is absolutely new information about Dajjal, about the Antichrist. What is it that is so important that it has come with the very last prophet? No one after him. What is it? Do not treat the subject lightly. No, take your time with it. Dajjal sees with his left eye. He is blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grip. But your Lord is not one eye. Between his eyes, on his forehead, is written the word kafara, kafir. And every mu'min, the mu'min is the one who has not only made the declaration of belief with the lips, but in addition, it has traveled until it has entered the heart. So now he has Iman, so he is mu'min. Every mu'min would be able to read the word kafir, whether he is literate or illiterate. He can read and write or cannot read and write. And in this hadith, there is the key, the most important key of all for the study of Akhirul Zaman. If you miss this one, you miss methodology, and you'll end up joining ISIS and fighting a bogus jihad with Yankee money and weapons from NATO, and with Qarnush Shaitan from Najd behind you supporting you. As you fought a bogus jihad in Libya. My words are bitter, yes. And then you're fighting a bogus jihad in Syria. And now you're telling us, you're bringing us the Khilafah. So that CNN and Al Jazeera and television stations around the world can go to work to present Islam in the worst possible image. To show Islam as a menace to mankind. So that Israel can wage the big war that Israel wants to wage, while appearing to be a savior to mankind. If you miss this one and you adopt the wrong methodology, you end up with ISIS and supporting ISIS. So what is there in this hadith? That he sees with the left eye, but he's blind in the right eye. One day, Dajjal will have to appear in human form. The Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, he would be a Jew. He would be a young man. He would be powerfully built. He'd have the curls of the Orthodox Jews. And he will stand up in Jerusalem and declare, I am Al-Masih, the Messiah. When you study the subject, as we have been studying the subject, you know that day is not too far from now. I may not live to see it, but you will live to see it. That's how close it is. But if you use the wrong methodology, then when he stands up there in Jerusalem and he says, I am the Messiah, Al-Masih, and we say this is Dajjal, you will say no, he cannot be Dajjal, because he sees with two eyes. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Dajjal sees with one eye. You were misled because you adopted the wrong methodology. That's why you end up supporting ISIS and the bogus Khilafah. What is the right methodology? How is it that the mu'min can read, whether he is katib or ghayru katib? He can still read kafir. But Abu Jahl cannot read, and George Bush cannot read, and this other one named Osama or Obama cannot read. How come they can't read? But the one who has faith can read. Maybe we should send Abu Jahl to the eye specialist. Check out his eyes. How come he can't read? But the report comes back from the eye specialist that his eyes are okay. Still he cannot read. But this one can read. Will you not think before you support ISIS? Did Allah not send this Quran to a people who think? Why have we stopped thinking? Is it because the one who has faith is not reading with these eyes alone? Is it that in addition to these eyes, we have other ways of seeing? This is called epistemology, the branch of knowledge which studies knowledge. They don't teach it in the universities anymore. How do we acquire knowledge? The scientific method is that knowledge comes from external observation and experimentation and rational inquiry. And the scientific method says, wrongly so, that if knowledge comes from any other source, it's not knowledge. It belongs to Disneyland. But the Quran says otherwise. The Quran tells us, فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ. It's not these eyes which are blind. وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. What is blind is the heart which is inside the chest. So that the Quran gives us a different epistemology, that we see with external sight and we also see with internal sight. And so now we can subject the hadith to something called ta'wil. Tafsir is to explain. Ta'wil is to interpret. And when we talk on ta'wil, we go to the Quran, not to the hadith. So the one who has faith can read because he's seeing with the internal eye. And the one who is Abu Jahl cannot read because he is internally blind. And so now we can explain the hadith the way, the Salafi cannot do it. The ta'wil or the interpretation is that when Dajjal sees with the left eye, it symbolizes external sight, knowledge that is externally acquired. And when Dajjal is blind in the right eye, it symbolizes internal blindness. And all those who follow Dajjal will be internally blind.